Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's demonstration is on mixing colors. I have a number of colors that I have reduced down to a minimum palette, and I'd like to share those with you, proving that you don't need to have every color there is to make every color that there is. Okay, so this is the end result of what we're going to do. You can see the rainbow of colors going from around clockwise. We're going to do some light skin, we're going to do some dark skin, and some dark colors, browns, skies, and greens. So let's begin. This is the palette that I've created and share with my new watercolor students as a minimum amount of colors necessary to make every color in the rainbow. We'll see up at the top we have warm and cool colors of all of the primaries, and you notice that there isn't any greens, any purples, violets, no oranges. It's just the primaries and a few utility colors. Below in the description, I will list all of these colors. These are the colors that are on the palette and the manufacturer of them. It's not critical that you use this exact color. However, if you notice the general categories of cool and warm for each one of them, and I like this combination because I feel it works best for me. So here's what we're going to paint, and if you can see from the top, I'm going to break it down into some more colors, like we're going to do greens and we're going to do some purples and hair and a whole bunch of different colors necessary to do whatever style of painting you do. So if you want, you can split your paper into the three. We're going to start at the top with our yellows. We're not going to use the greenish yellow at the start. We're going to start with the warm yellows and come around clockwise as it'll create a rainbow of colors. Before we start, I'm going to just spritz the paper. Let's start off with the warm yellow, and I'm just going to quickly lay that in right here and simply rinse it off. Go to my warm red, which happens to be a cadmium red, and kind of come up, and cadmium is a strong color. I'm going to take some of that off and bring in some more of my yellow. So be careful of the strong pigments. Okay, so next to this, I'm going to come in with what's alizarin, and I'm going to let these two touch. And this is going to be the start of a range. I'm going to go down to ultramarine blue, and I'm going to let these two play together. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of the alizarin, and you can see the variation and a little bit of the blue, and you can see the variations of purples I can get around. I'm going to add a little bit more of this ultramarine, and then next to that I have Antwerp, which is a cool blue, and I'm going to dilute that a little bit more. So I'm going to be coming up into my green zone here, take a little bit of that back, and now I'm going to go up to the top, which is my cool yellow, and I'm going to plop that in here and start to notice a range of greens. So then that's going to go up here to the very top. So there you have it, with 6 colors, 2 yellows, 2 reds, 2 blues, create this rainbow. Okay, next thing that is common is greens. So let's go back to our cool yellow, and let's just put some of that right here. And let me give it a little spritz so we can get some blending on the surface. And then next to this is a color Daniel Smith makes. It's called Quin Gold. I think Winsor Newton makes it as well. So we're going to put some of that over here. We'll let those play together. And then we're going to come down to this cool Antwerp again, which was right here. And we're going to kind of put that in here. And now we're going to let these colors mix together and see the huge range of greens we can get. We can get everywhere between sappy spring green to a much darker variety of greens just by mixing these three colors. And so to add to that, we could add a little ultramarine blue just to kind of see and notice that that turns into a very, very dark green. So the greens that this palette can make is everywhere between the lightest buds greens all the way down to a deep, rich deepest green. Okay, let's go over on this side, and I'm going to show you the flesh I use. This red right here is, as I showed you, it was a really strong red, so I'm going to be careful of that right now. Hit it with a little water. And so I'm going to put some red right here. And next to that, I'm going to take the warm yellow that we used right here, and I'm going to put it next to it and create this orange that we have right here. Okay, now on this palette, I have put cerulean blue, which I call one of my utility colors because it's not a primary. Watch what happens when I put in here. I start to darken that color, and if you start to notice that it becomes the color of the back of my hand. Okay, this is just the tiniest bit of cerulean because the three primaries turn into a sort of brown when you mix them together. But if you want it to be a little redder, you can add a little bit more red. Okay, so now with darker skinned people can use the same base red but now instead of using the warm yellow, I'm going to use raw sienna. If you look, it's kind of a little tanner, so right off the bat you're going to get a darker orange. It's a little strong with the red. Let me just take some of that off, and I'll just put in a little bit more. So now we have a duller orange. Now if I come in with ultramarine blue rather than cerulean, I'm going to get a darker color. And now just play with that until you're satisfied with this color of flesh. You need to play with it in order to just get that balance. And the more you play with it, see, now it's going to be a little darker than my skin. But this is a nice black one. The thing people always ask is, well, what about baby flesh? Well, I'm going to dry my brush off here. Let's say this color right here is the right tone. Well, baby flesh is just less of it. So, and you can just kind of make a very thin wash of this and of the red and of the blue. I was using ultramarine. And then that is baby skin, and up here I can do the exact same with just using a thinner version. Okay, let's talk about hair. So now we have, notice how the colors are variation. You don't want to mix this on your palette, you want to mix it on the paper so you have this movement of paint. Okay, so now right down here, I want to show you hair. So blonde hair, for the most part, here's raw sienna. That would probably be for the darkest area. But if you thin that out, you start to get a very thin blondish hair. Okay? And so now, if you want dark hair, the classic combination for any of these browns is Quin burnt orange, or this is a substitute for burnt sienna. So it's kind of a dark neutral orange. People are very familiar with burnt sienna. And so this is the same, but this is Daniel Smith's. And see how it's an orange. So I'm going to take this color, clean that off, and go down to the classic ultramarine blue and put that over here. And let these two mix. And then all of a sudden in the middle here, we're going to start to see everywhere between this beautiful gray for rocks and these browns for like brown hair. And you want a little darker, you can make it a little bluer or a little stronger, but this combination is used for brown hair, rocks, tree trunks, whatever. You can see how versatile those two colors are in nature scenes. This thing, if people are always, well, what's sky color? So in this palette I have this cerulean blue, which is kind of a classic blue for doing skies. So it's a cooler blue, and it's kind of, people refer to cerulean as a sky blue. And then as you approach the ground a little bit, you can change into the other colors of green, which is, this is that Antwerp I told you about. And you can do a little bit of this ultramarine blue, and you might like a sky like that. You might also like to put in some raw sienna down low, and that can create like the grays of clouds. So from cerulean, it's personal preference and what your sky is looking like, but you can go from a cerulean, a greenish blue, down to a more warm blue, and you can gray the closer to the ground where there's reflections from the soil, or it is soil down here, and as it goes into the ground. So I'll print this out, I'll write these colors in here, but we went from the warm to create an orange with a warm red to a cool red to create a purple, a violet, a bluer, cooler blue, mixing with a cool yellow to create greens. And then I showed you the combination of Aurelin, Quin Gold up here, and I added some of the cooler blue, which is this blue here, the Antwerp, and created a wide range of greens. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm just getting started with the YouTubes and doing these kind of training things, so bear with me. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. If you want to hear more as I progress, hit the subscribe. Thank you.